The sound wasn't a lawnmower or a weed whacker. It was the high-pitched, angry snarl of a chainsaw biting into wood, right outside my window. I bolted outside, my heart hammering against my ribs, and saw it. Brenda from the HOA, in her perfectly pressed khaki patrol vest, guiding a steel chainsaw through the middle of our ranch's main gate. The old weathered wood splintered and gave way like it was nothing. "What are you doing? Stop!" I yelled, running toward the fence. She killed the engine. The sudden silence was louder than the noise. She wiped a speck of sawdust from her vest. Violation 12C, subsection 4. Fence gates must be constructed of approved, contemporary materials. This weathered pine is not on the list. She kicked a chunk of my gate with her pristine white sneaker. This gate was built by my grandfather 60 years ago. You can't just destroy it. She gave me a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The HOA covenants grant me full authority to remedy violations on site. Consider it remedied. She nodded to her two lackeys, who started dragging the two halves of the broken gate away, leaving a wide-open hole onto our property. That's when my grandpa walked out onto the porch. He'd been quiet since moving in with us, mostly just sitting on the porch swing and watching the birds. He squinted at the open space where our gate used to be, then at Brenda. He didn't say a word. He just turned and walked back inside, his boots heavy on the wooden steps. Brenda's smirk widened. "See? The elderly gentleman understands. Now you have 24 hours to install an association-approved gate, or we will commence daily fines." She started to turn away, then stopped. "And we'll be towing that eyesore of a truck parked in the driveway. It's an unapproved vehicle. That truck was my grandpa's, his pride and joy." I was about to tell her exactly where she could stick her daily fines, when a new sound came from inside the house. A heavy, metallic dragging sound. Scrape, thump, scrape, thump. It was coming from the hallway, slow and deliberate. Brenda heard it too, her head cocked. "What is that?" The screen door creaked open. Grandpa stood there, silhouetted in the doorway. But he wasn't the same quiet old man. His posture was straight, his eyes were sharp and clear, and slung across his body, supported by his still strong arms, was the longest, heaviest-looking machine gun I have ever seen. A belt of fat, gleaming bullets hung from it, feeding right into the chamber. He didn't point it at anyone. He just cradled it like it was an old friend and looked straight at Brenda. His voice was quiet, gravelly, and absolute. "The only thing getting towed off my property today," he said, "is you and your chainsaw. If you're not off my land in 10 seconds, Brenda's smirk didn't just fade. It melted off her face like wet clay. Her two lackeys, who'd been so confident dragging away my gate, took a synchronized step backward. The color drained from Brenda's face, leaving two bright red spots high on her cheeks. For a second, nobody moved. The only sound was the faint chirping of a bird and the heavy, metallic click as Grandpa shifted his grip on that enormous gun. You can't be serious," Brenda stammered, but the authority was gone from her voice. It was replaced by a high-pitched, shaky fear. That's an illegal firearm. This is a civilized neighborhood." Grandpa's eyes never left her. "Civilized people don't chainsaw a man's gate without a word of warning," he said, his voice low and steady. "This is a Browning M60 7.62 machine gun, U.S. Army issue, and I am standing on my own porch. Now I believe your time is up." He didn't yell. He didn't have to. Every word was a hammer blow. The two lackeys didn't need to be told twice. They dropped the pieces of our gate like they were on fire, scrambled into their white HOA golf cart, and fumbled with the ignition. Brenda stood frozen for another second, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. She was trying to find a rule, a bylaw, something to throw at him. But there's no HOA covenant for this. The golf cart engine sputtered to life. One of the men yelled, "Brenda, come on!" That broke her trance. She took one last wide-eyed look at Grandpa and the M60, then turned and practically sprinted for the cart. Stumbling in her silly sneakers, she clambered in and the cart peeled away, kicking up a cloud of dust as it sped, down our driveway, and out through the gap where our gate used to be. The silence they left behind was deafening. I just stood there, my hands still clenched into fists, my heart pounding for a whole new reason. I slowly turned to look at my grandfather. He gently laid the massive gun across the porch, swung like it was a sleeping baby, and sat down next to it with a soft grunt. He pulled a red bandana from his pocket and wiped his forehead. "Grandpa," I finally managed to say, my voice barely a whisper, What in the actual hell was that? Where did you even get that thing? He looked out at the empty driveway, a distant look in his eyes. 1968, Ladrang Valley, he said softly. Then he looked at me and a faint, tired smile touched his lips. Souvenir. He patted the swing next to him. Sit down, kid. We need to talk, because that woman isn't coming back with a warning. She's coming back with the cops.